What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Benchwarmers. Sorry again that I'm doing it on Thursday as opposed to this last Monday. I was a little busy that day, but I had some free time today to get everything kind of caught up. Plus, a lot of shit happened in sports, most notably with NFL football. A lot of head coaching changes. We, of course, had our AFC NFC Championship games this last Sunday. Formula One going through some changes. A little bit of controversy going on there, etc. And English Premier League, big game today. So JM 1620, what's going on, brother? S Man 1503, what it do, baby? Flash fire, boom shakalaka. Anyway, jersey pickups for this week, of course. I got a pile of them here, so I got to figure out which one I'm starting with, etc. First one, of course, is going to be another blank black, just a basic champion jersey. So if you guys saw a couple months ago, I had gotten done a Oakland Roots jersey and Oakland Roots jersey. Pretty much going to do the exact same thing with this one, just because of the fact that, hey, official Tony, what's going on? Why not? This was $10 and it only cost me a couple bucks to get that thing printed. I'm sure there's somebody else who's also an Oakland Roots fan who needs one. And I could just pass the savings on to them, if you know what I mean. Next up, we got Utah Jazz, Deshaun Stevenson, purple with the big mountain. Immaculate condition on this one. It is a XX. Needed something a little bit bigger because I only have like one or two XX Utah Jazz jerseys. I already have a white Deshaun Stevenson. Could use the purple one. Why not? But I have the black one. I've got the black with the copper. So I needed the purple one for that one. I thought the white one is still eluding me at the moment. But hey, going to Utah this weekend, going to the Jazz game on Sunday as they play the Milwaukee Bucks. So might be one that I'm gonna have to pack in my arsenal there for the weekend trip. Joaquin 77, what is going on? Oh, official Tony got a new Guardians hat. That's very nice. It's very nice. Next up, I didn't have a black double X Phoenix Suns. And this is one that I've been kind of trying to track down for a bit. Sam Cassell. Last week I talked about how there's a bunch of Sam Cassell jerseys I'm still trying to track down because he played for so many damn teams during the champion era, and the Phoenix Suns was definitely one of them. Still need the white one. I don't recall ever seeing a purple one, but I know somebody is selling a white one. This one only cost, I think it was like 85. That Deshaun Stevenson one cost me 45, which I'm still blown away about. So far, $130 in the hole, or $140 in the hole, because $10 for that black blank champion jersey, whatever. Moving on to what is next. Hey, David Kearns, what's going on? This one I wasn't expecting to find at all, and especially considering the fact that the cheapest I found anywhere for this one is usually around the $250 range. So getting this for $150 was a bit of a bargain. Slightly, still a little bit more than I wanted to pay, but for the rarity of it, it's pretty spectacular. So Vlade Divac, I already have a Vlade Divac Sacramento Kings, but in my overall quest of trying to track down every single jersey that champion ever made for every player, this of course had to be on the list. So yeah, 150 on that one. So now I'm out 290 on those four. And then last but not least, this one cost the most. This one cost like $220. But it's insanely rare. And I've got a great story to go along with it as well. Bam. Jim McIlvaine, pride of Marquette University, Seattle Supersonics. This one actually came in from Ukraine. So far, 5 for 5 on getting jerseys from Ukraine. Even during wartime, stuff is still getting shipped out. So hopefully that guy is doing pretty well, just for the sake of health and etc. But yeah, Seattle Supersonics, been trying to track this down for a while, and this is only one of like 2 that I know is in existence. And I've not told Angie about this. Of course not. Like I said, there's a bit of an interesting story that goes along with this one. and I had actually tweeted about it. So here's my initial tweet. Took me a solid 20 plus years to track this one down, but it finally arrived in the mail all the way from Ukraine. Seattle Supersonics Jim McIlvaine champion jersey. To which case I had said, I think this is the 5th jersey I've gotten from there, blah, 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 blah. What I wasn't expecting was Jim McIlvaine himself to actually respond. This is actually ever commented on any of the jerseys that I picked up. What he says is, that's because they didn't make a bunch of my jerseys, and I bought most of the ones they did for friends and family and still have a bunch. So this goes back to a discussion I had one of the last times I was actually not one of the last times. It was I was in Vegas in July because I was there for NBA Summer League. And I feel like I've brought this jersey up in discussion before, but it goes back to 1997. I was living in Bakersfield, California, walking to through JC Penney at Valley Plaza Mall, and there was a rack of Sacramento Kings jerseys. And the one that stuck out to me the most, and I still hate myself for not buying it, was an Olden Polynice jersey. Olden Polynice played for the Supersonics before he went to, I think he went to the Kings, and then no, so he went for the Sonics and then the Kings. Sorry, Sonics first, then the Kings, because he was part of the Scottie Pippen draft night trade when the Seattle Supersonics had actually drafted Scottie Pippen and the Bulls had drafted Olden Polynice. Anyway, so the main thing about that is the only time I've ever seen a Sacramento Kings Olden Polynice jersey, and I've been trying to track one down ever since. Now, in regard to Jim McIlvaine responding to this particular tweet and saying, hey, there's only a limited supply, I scooped up most of it, so it is. Oh, going back to NBA Summer League in July, I think I cut out there. Going back to NBA Summer League in July, I actually ran into Olden Polynice, and coincidentally, a couple buddies of mine, one of which who works for the Sacramento Kings, all three of us were talking about how I need this jersey, how I know it exists, whatever. And when I ran into him, for some dumbass reason, I did not ask him about, hey, did Champion ever make a jersey for you back in the day? Because I thought, like, why would he know the answer to this? And this is something that happened basically 20 years ago. Actually, no, 25 years ago now. Shit. So I let it go. I just let him go on his way. I mean, we were at a party, so it was supposed to be fun anyway. And now I regret not asking him that question to at least verify whether or not I actually saw this as a child. Because I mean, I was 13 years old at the time when I saw this jersey. Um, anyway, yeah. So there's that. I bought a couple other jerseys over the last few days. I think only one of them has shipped out so far, so waiting on the other two to get shipped out, to which case I feel like one of the ones I bought, the dealer is totally boning me. So I feel like I'm gonna be out some dollars on that, which I'm a little pissed about. That'll only be like the third time that a dealer of quote unquote champion jerseys has screwed me. So we'll see what happens in the next few days on that one. But anyway, moving on to sports. Royal Rumble, of course, was this last weekend. Bailey won the women's Royal Rumble, which a little bit surprising. She came in the third spot. So the fact that she lasted that long was neat and good, I guess. I mean, she is a top draw as far as the women's division. And I will say the women's Royal Rumble was much better than the men's division. So I'm okay with that. But the bigger surprises that came out of the women's Royal Rumble, Naomi coming in at number 2. It was her first match back in WWE since May of 2022. TNA Women's Champion Jordan Grace made an appearance. And then Jade Cargill finally made her appearance. Her big main event debut since her exodus from AEW over to WWE. So I'm okay with this result. The only reason why I'm bummed about it is because there's a pool that my friends and I do, and I had the number 6 pick for the women. For the life of me, I can't remember who I had. But I do know that she was the first person eliminated, so I was especially furious about that. But I think overall, yeah, women's women's main event, women's Royal Rumble. Excellent work, ladies. And then of course we have the men's. And the last two to, finish out the night, of course, was CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. The good thing in regard to this is because of the fact that this was CM Punk's technical debut match with a couple weeks ago. I think I'm cutting in and out. So hold on one sec. I'm gonna give it a. Anyway, so going back into the Royal Rumble, I won the bet with my wife, so I'm getting $500 from her because he finally is wrestling in the WWE again. It's on TV. It was during a pay-per-view. There's no disputing that. 10 years later, I made an absolutely insane prediction. So awesome job by me there. Now the biggest disappointment out of this was the fact that Cody Rhodes won. And on top of that, I question how much of that had to do with the fact that CM Punk tore his tricep in his right arm. Because this goes back to AEW. I mean, Phil, aka CM Punk, is getting much older. So, of course, the body's a little bit more fragile. He had 2 major surgeries with AEW, both of which came at a point in time when he won the AEW championship. And that was kind of part of the reason for his exodus, etc. But now he's in the same situation with WWE, and it's kind of hilarious. And as David Kearns is saying, it's a bit of karmic retribution that comes with that. But I will say overall, the men's Royal Rumble match was not that great. Andrade, fresh off of his AEW contract expiration, he came in number 4. Gunther, who is definitely looking like a favorite to win, he did not. My number 30 pick, which ended up being Sami Zayn, I liked the idea of that from a storytelling perspective, just because the fact that we have both Cody Rhodes, who wants to finish the story, and we still have the Sami Zayn. Oh my God. Why am I spacing on his Sami Zayn Roman Reigns feud that is still kind of ongoing? It would have been nice to see Sami Zayn win that, one, because I would have won a lot of money, but then 2, I like to see that storyline continue. I think there was a part of me that thought The Rock was going to come out at number 30 just because of his return to Monday Night Raw and the moment he had with Roman Reigns with that, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other surprise that kind of came out of the men's Rumble was Braun Breaker coming in at number 20. Now, bringing up, NXT guys is not a huge surprise in that, but in regard to the story that kind of broke out after the fact of his arrival, in that spot was supposed to be for Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar is currently being investigated for the bullshit that Vince McMahon is being investigated for and litigation for. Exactly. Yep, exactly. Flashfire, you and I are definitely on that. So they had to make a replacement, and that's where they got Braun Breaker in, et cetera, et cetera. So don't know how much truth there is to that. There is an element that it could be 100% true, but, rumors fly and pigeons die. I don't know. I didn't know how to finish that one. So anyway, Cody Rhodes ends up winning for the second time, which was in back-to-back years, which we had not seen since what? Vince McMahon, I want to say. Stone Cold did it. Shawn Michaels did it. Vince McMahon did it. I feel like, yeah, it's the first time since Vince McMahon did it. So that unto itself is a bit odd. And of course, nobody at the presser wanted to talk about Austin 98. I could have sworn Vince McMahon did it after Stone Cold did it. Damn it. I should have looked this one up. Hogan did it. Yeah, Hogan did it early on. I mean, we're talking like pre 92 Ric Flair, which is still hands down the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. Because Hacksaw Jim Duggan won it the first one. Okay, Vince only did it once. All right, cool. That clarifies that. I thought I saw something. Somebody listed like all the headshots of who won, and there were a few names and pictures that were like redacted, basically. And so there was a spot where there was like back-to-back years where this happened. So I figured because Vince McMahon, this lawsuit and basically not part of WWE anymore, it was him. So my bad on not looking that one up. So if we're going with 98, 99 with Stone Cold, I can be okay with that. But yeah, back-to-back winner, Cody Rhodes. I'm not a huge fan of it, but obviously for the sake of finishing the story, it was bound to happen. So anyway, Flashfire says, Vince probably, I saw a graphic that had a couple faces blacked out from around then, unless Brock was one. Actually, that's a really good point. It might have been Brock Lesnar. There was no context to it, so that's why I was just kind of like going based on memory, like, okay, who the hell won this one? But anyway, yeah. So that's where we're at right now. Maybe the story will get finished this year. We never know. Baltimore Orioles have a new ownership group. Not necessarily led by Cal Ripken Jr., but he is definitely in the minority ownership group of this. The Angelos family decided to finally sell the team after their 30-year reign of owning the team at Camden Yards. Which really begs the question, one, where the hell did this come from? Because it's very surprising how much the Angelos family had talked about retaining the team, no mention of selling it in any capacity. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, boom, they're sold for $1.75 billion. And then number two, of course, I had my thumb up first and then I went to that one, but you couldn't see it. But anyway, number two, of course, being when the fuck is John Fisher going to sell the goddamn Oakland A's? Because if there's an ownership group that we need a changing of immediately, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, I'm just saying this because of the fact of how much of a blight on Major League Baseball is that John Fisher still owns the Oakland A's and all the bullshit that he's putting the city of Oakland through, all the A's fans through, talking about, trying to find a new place to play beyond the 2024 season because he can't get a deal worked out with Oakland, more so does not want to get a deal worked out with Oakland. So now they're looking at Sacramento, they're looking at Utah, and they're still projecting that the possibility of a 2028 opening for the stadium on the Tropicana site, which unto itself, Tropicana is definitely closing its doors the first week of April. And coincidentally, it's a point in time when my wife and I will be in Vegas. Like all this crazy baseball shit that has to do with Las Vegas, my wife and I always happen to be in town for. So the Tropicana is closing the first week of April. And as it looks like right now, something else is basically going to be erected on that site after they derez it. And it's not going to be a baseball stadium. So the money that was allocated by the Nevada legislature is only for the Tropicana site specifically. So if somebody else swoops in, gets the land, and builds there, the A's are shit out of luck on that fucking $380 million that they're getting from Nevada. So once again, John, sell the fucking team. You're running out of options here. Not to mention, you don't have a rendering available of what the stadium's going to look like. You've just milked that one to death. Then there was the sports business convention that they had in Vegas not too long ago, and how nobody gave any bit of like applause or care about the Oakland A's moving to Vegas. That was amazing. And then, of course, John Fisher himself needs to foot $1 billion. And now he's talking about bringing in some minority owners to, be cash solvent, basically. What the fuck, man? Like, why Major League Baseball is allowing this to happen is criminal. Make the man sell the team. Make him. Art. Logan Herrera says, would be a shame if MGM just stopped on buying, just took that property. I agree with that. It'd be a total shame. I mean, MGM's got that entire block basically wrapped up between MGM Grand, New York, Excalibur, Luxor, Mandalay Bay, Park MGM. That's 6. I mean, those are all MGM properties. And I think that's it. Yeah. So why not retain that bit of ownership on that end of the strip? So I don't know, man. Yeah, are we alive back there? That was so good. Oh man, I'm over it. They need to make him sell this goddamn team. Like, keep the team here in Oakland. Nobody within base. I mean, except for a couple dumbasses say, "Oh yeah, Vegas would be a great place for a baseball team," but none of them are saying it in regard to like, "Oh yeah, move the A's there." They're just saying like, give Vegas an expansion team. It's the way it should be. Moving on. My God. Doc Rivers And this is the whole reason why I'm wearing a Portland Trailblazer jersey today. Not off to a great start as head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, he got brought in to replace Adrian Griffin, who got fired after what, a 30-11 start to the season, being the number 2 seed in the East. How the hell does that happen? And this, of course, all within about, I'm going to say, a 6 to 7 month stretch where Budholzer got canned. Now Adrian Griffin got canned. And now you got Doc in here. 0-2 so far. 0-2 for Doc. And the fact that the criticism that Adrian Griffin went under is, wasn't meshing well with the players. He was supposed to be teaching a very defensive-minded squad, which is bizarre as hell unto itself that you bring Doc Rivers in, who doesn't teach defense in any capacity. So now the Bucks are on the hook pay-wise for 3 coaches. And, I mean, that's the kind of shit that you would see at the college level. Maybe the NFL, wink, wink, Las Vegas Raiders. But the fact this is happening in the NBA is depressing as hell. But yeah, last night, Milwaukee Bucks in Portland, Damian Lillard's homecoming game. His first game back in Portland is, of course, a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. And what do the Portland Trailblazers do? The hapless, lowly Portland Trailblazers do? They hang a win on his ass. 119-116 final score. And to basically put more salt in the wounds on that, watch the final play of the game, because Dame was wide open to potentially take the lead for the Bucks. And good old Brook Lopez, what does he do? He just fires a 3, doesn't pass the ball off. And the play that they were running was supposed to go to Dame. Doc Rivers talked about this after the game and basically threw the team under the bus, which Doc Rivers has a tendency to do. So why you bring in a guy like this when you're already having communication and meshing issues with Adrian Griffin is just beyond me. So I don't know what the Bucks think they're doing. And it's crazy considering the fact that they won a championship a few years ago. And this is the situation that we're in right now. So I don't feel bad for him. If Steven Seabright was here, I maybe feel bad for you as a fan, but hey, you got a championship. There goes the light. That was crazy. What the fuck? Anyway, Formula One. I'm going to get through these pretty quick. Mario Andretti, who, of course, him and his father, his brothers, his whole family made their money, made their legacy within the IndyCar circuit, wants to throw a bid in for Formula One, wants to get a team going, and got rejected. Granted, there is the opening and possibility for 2026, or 2028, because 2026 was the point in time he was trying to get in. So very strange that somebody of that bit of pedigree within the racing world gets iced out the way that he did. Moving forward, Lewis Hamilton, who's won multiple championships for Mercedes, is leaving that team and going over Ferrari in 2025. So huge shakeup. I mean, this is like Michael Jordan in his prime if he decided, I'm dipping out. I'm going to Washington. Not in the sense of like him going to Washington as a, former president and former co-owner, etc. But if he was doing it within his actual playing days, his prime, and just dipping out of Chicago, this is basically the equivalent of that. So we can't say LeBron James anymore just because he's bounced around the league a couple times. But Michael Jordan, of course, did not do that in his prime. So anyway, Tom Cruise, what's going on, brother? NFL head coaching. I was talking about this a little bit ago. A lot of new faces, a lot of shakeups. I'm just going to try and go in order based on the way everybody was kind of hired, and especially the positions that they're taking over and who they're taking over for, etc. Jared Mayo, of course, taking over for the New England Patriots because Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick decided to part ways. Belichick, of course, was interviewing for a possible position with the Atlanta Falcons. But of course, nothing came of that. Antonio Pierce, the Raiders decided to hang on to him, remove the interim tag. He's going to be the full-time head coach, to which case the players love him. He meshes really well with them. And especially from a position of somebody who played within the NFL within the last decade, I think this is actually a smart move for Vegas. And yeah, and I agree with Tone Cruz. I think the Jared Mayo addition is a smart move for New England. I think we all thought that it was going to be Mike Vrabel going in, and then he was probably going to hire, Josh McDaniels in as OC or whatever. Didn't happen. I I love that decision by the Patriots. Let's start over fresh essentially, and somebody who is internal, somebody who has a lot of love and respect from the players. Great move. Um, Jim Harbaugh, you know, can no longer be investigated or indicted or whatever you want to say for his time with the University of Michigan because that's over. He is going to the Los Angeles Chargers. He is getting Justin Herbert as his quarterback and Eckler as his running back. I think this is a smart move. And I think a lot of us also felt like he was going to go to the Raiders. There was a lot of talk of that. His early days of coaching as an assistant came up with the Raiders. It would have been a solid fit for him. He does love to wear black turtlenecks, which I also feel like would have been a great fit for Las Vegas as well. But no, because of the Antonio Pierce decision, that ushered in the Chargers to go in and swoop up Harbaugh. So great move there by the Chargers. They've been needing a good coach for quite some time. And this goes back to the Marty Schottenheimer era, who they never should have fired in the first place. Yeah, they were always kind of a disappointment in the playoffs, but still, Marty Schottenheimer is still the greatest coach in Chargers history. And you fired him. So they were definitely cursed beyond that. So now's the time to potentially get it back. Alibo 100, what's going on, dude? Tone Cruz says I had to deal with him as OSU. Yeah. And you're a Broncos fan? Oh my God, you're in some dark days, my friend. Dark days. Moving on to the Washington Commanders, Dan Quinn leaving his position as the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys and taking over head position there in regard to Ron Rivera being let go at the end of this last season. Last time Dan Quinn was a head coach, of course, was with the Atlanta Falcons. And his most famous game or most infamous game, of course, is the Super Bowl loss that they had a massive lead in the first half. What was it, 28-3? And completely blew it in the second half, allowing the Patriots to get their last and most recent Super Bowl title. So we'll see how this goes for him. I feel like it's a win-win situation in a sense for Quinn and the Commanders. Ron Rivera kind of like muffed things up as badly as he did there. So perhaps Quinn's going to take the team into a better direction. You never know. I don't hate this move at all, but we'll see. Raheem Morris going to the Falcons, to which case the last time he had a head coaching job, of course, was with the Falcons when the Falcons fired Dan Quinn, coincidentally. But previous to that, Raheem Morris was the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after the Buccaneers finally decided to fire John Gruden. So 2009 through 2011 was the last time Raheem Morris had a decent extension as a head coach. That was his time with the Buccaneers. I don't hate this move at all. I think it's actually going to work out really well for the Falcons, and especially for somebody who has worked with the Falcons previously. So, Logan Herrera says, as a Cowboys fan, I hope Quinn leads the team like he did his last game as a Cowboy. I love it. I love it. Well, especially within the division. Like, I totally get where you're coming from with that. Panthers getting Dave Canales, the offensive coordinator from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one breaks my heart a bit just because the fact that in the same situation that Logan Herrera is in, losing a coach within your division and going to a team within your division, it's pretty rough. And Dave Canales is actually a pretty solid offensive coordinator. Look what he did with Baker Mayfield this season. I mean, the proof is in the pudding there. So I'm a little nervous as far as how those games are going to go with the Panthers next season because, Buccaneers, Panthers are going to play twice. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying Bryce Young is a bust, but maybe those words that are being thrown around into regard to Bryce Young possibly being a bust, whatever, maybe things are going to change with Dave Canales, to which case, crap. Because if we get Alabama Bryce Young under Dave Canales, that's not good for me. It's definitely going to make those Buccaneers Panthers games a little more competitive. So we'll see what happens there. Next up, we got The Tennessee Titans getting Brian Callahan, of course, Brian's father, Bill, former NFL head coach. Brian Callahan, of course, was the offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals from 2019 to 2023. Getting Will Revis as his quarterback, and hopefully a Derrick Henry that decides to stay in Tennessee with this new coaching change. It's not a bad outlook for them. Defense has always been relatively solid with the Titans, so I think bringing somebody who's more offensive focused is a smart move. And especially after they let Mike Vrabel go, the door was wide open for somebody who could, come in fresh faced, has been in the system for quite some time. So we shall see. Logan Herrera says, "I'm hopeful that Bryce Young can muster at least 6 wins, but overall thank you for thank you for the Bears number 1 pick, Carolina." Smart. That's a smart way of putting it. And then of course, last but not least, the most recent, and this is as of yesterday, Mike McDonald, defensive coordinator. Sorry, offense. Shit, was he defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator? I wrote down OC by mistake. I'm pretty sure he was the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. He was a coach for the Ravens, not the head coach, but I know he was a coach for the Ravens. Shit. But anyway, defense. Thank you. I don't know why my O or my D here looks like an O. I meant to put DC. I was pretty positive when I was writing everything down. But anyway, defensive minded coach, smart move for Seattle. Seattle's always been top tier as far as defense, especially under the almost said Bill Cowher. Oh my God. Why am I spacing on names right now? Jesus. I can see his face. Who is the coach? Who is the coach of the Seahawks that just kind of got let go from his position? And why did Bill Cowher's name come to my head? Actually, I know exactly why Bill Cowher's name came to my head is because Cowher and the Steelers beat the Seahawks back in 05. Pete Carroll. God. Pete Carroll. My God. I am on a fucking roll today. But yeah, Pete Carroll, always a strong defensive minded coach. So bringing in Mike McDonald, very similar mindset in regard to that. I feel like the Seahawks, maybe not so next year because you still have to deal with the 49ers and potentially the Rams being good again. I did bad. That was just bad on me. But yeah, I could see the Seahawks within the next maybe 2 years from now being kind of back up on the top echelon of the NFC East. NFC West. Oh my God. We're going to get through this, man. I swear. Anyway, that's it for head coaching for the NFL. Going to burn through Premier League real quick for this week. Arsenal over Nottingham Forest. Not a big surprise there. Luton Town 4-0 over Brighton. That is a big surprise there. And big news for Luton Town, which I'll get to in a little bit. Everton Fulham draw, point each. Newcastle putting the hurt on Aston Villa. That was a bit of a surprise. Man City taking down Burnley 3-1. No surprise there. Tottenham over Brentford could have gone either way. But yeah, Tottenham is looking much better these days than they did like a couple weeks ago. Liverpool just absolutely beating the piss out of Chelsea, which Steve Wright and I definitely cried hard about in each other's arm about that one. West Ham drew with Bournemouth. And this was the game that was going on today, which is I had to wait till this one finished to kind of get the graphic ready. This game was fucking nuts, especially in the last 20 minutes or so. And that includes all the stoppage time because there was like 12 minutes of stoppage time in this game. Man United, obviously you can tell by the tail of the tape, scoring first twice, 2-0. And then, second half comes around. Wolverhampton puts a goal on the board. And then Man U follows that one. So it's 3-1 at this point. 85th minute, Wolverhampton goes, 3-2. And then which case, once the extra time started, boom, they tied it up 5 minutes into stoppage time. And then Man U came right back with that one. So getting the win for them was a huge deal. 4-3 victory for Man United. Here's a look at the season standings. Liverpool top dog at number 1, to which case their coach and manager is retiring or at least leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. So there's a lot more motivation that's going on for them to win these games. Man City sitting in the 2 spot, Arsenal in the 3, but still, goal differential will kind of change that. Man City, of course, still has a game in hand. Tottenham moving up to the 4 spot. because Aston Villa lost, Tottenham wins, they switch spots. West Ham 6, Man United 7, Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea round out the top 10. And here's what I was talking about earlier with Luton Town getting that big win because they were in the bottom 3 for the vast majority of the season. But of course, Everton taking that 10-point hit a couple months ago, that's put him back in the danger zone. And there's the possibility that Everton and Nottingham Forest are going to hit with additional penalties for points. Whether it's going to happen this year or next year, it's up in the air. But Luton Town clear of relegation at the moment. But still, that 15 through 18 spot is dicey. 4 points separate all the teams there. Yada, yada, yada. That's your EPL recap right there. Yeah, I need a Snickers bar. I I ate a muffin and had a glass of milk. That was all I've eaten today, and maybe a couple chips. My God. Logan Hura says, I don't know if you have it in the slideshow, but in not. Oh, yeah. The Ronaldo Messi fiasco. I didn't bring that in because I just kind of got caught up on that this morning. Holy shit. For anybody who bought a ticket to that nightmare of a game, good luck. 1, good luck trying to resell it, or 2, good luck trying to endure it because both those dudes are not playing. Hilarious. Anyway, let's go on to the NFL, starting, of course, with the AFC Championship game. A lot of people are just, the focus on this, of course, is Taylor Swift, and that's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on football. Major disappointment in the Baltimore Ravens. First time hosting a playoff game, and especially of this capacity. Because you got to remember, both the times that they won the Super Bowl, they did not host a playoff game at all. So, first chance they have to go to the Super Bowl and hosting the game. One of the best offenses currently in the game, easily one of the best defenses currently in the game. Ravens, of course, were favored. And what the fuck, guys? Thank you, Logan. Yeah, first time Baltimore's hosted a playoff game since the Baltimore Colts days. I knew there was an element of that I forgot. And first quarter, tight battle, both teams score a touchdown. Cool. But then Kansas City just took over. And, just bad plays that were run by the Ravens, interception thrown, etc. No points scored, of course, in the third quarter. Borderline the fourth quarter. I mean, Justin Tucker, of course, the fiasco that happened before the game. And I think a lot of people were hoping Justin Tucker was going to kick 6 field goals to be the player of the game in the AFC Championship game. But they only brought him out once, and he went 1 for 1. What the F? Of course, the 2 plays that really ended up being the downfall for the Ravens outside of, the interception thrown by Lamar Jackson, who, decent game, you could say. Accuracy wise was not fantastic, but he did have a throwing touchdown, which was awesome. He did run for about 55 yards. But when he was the lead rusher, it's not great. I mean, unless you're running for over 100 yards, I should say, but whatever. But Zay Flowers, man, that shove down and spin the ball by the defender's head, not a smart move, but also incredibly dumb that somebody would get flagged for this. Of course, and it was a huge goddamn gain. Gets a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike. What the F? We talked about this on Flip the Script the other day, or at least Austin brought it up, where Joe Burrow chimed in and basically just let the boys play. Yes, let them play. Some of this schoolyard bullying, whatever you want to call it, it's fucking fun. It's hilarious. Let the players get in each other's heads. My God, don't go out there flagging. If you would have punched him in the head or something like that, yeah, I get thrown a flag and penalize the team for that. But for a little shove on the ground, spinning the ball by his head, big effing deal. My God. And then, of course, things just got worse for Zay Flowers. Getting the ball punched out as he's trying to dive in the end zone. And, I respect it in regard to him, wanting to put the points on the board because the fact that they were down by as much as they were. But at the end of the day, it's dude, there's plenty of time on the clock. Just take it to the ground. Secure that shit. You don't necessarily have to extend. Granted, if he would have scored that, it didn't get punched out the way that it did, went in the back of the end zone for a touchback. We would be saying this was probably like the game changing play of the game, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But because it worked negatively for the Ravens, Chiefs get the ball back. That's how these things shake out, man. So 17-10 final score. Chiefs, man. Chiefs back in the Super Bowl. Can't believe it. I'm trying to be happy about it in some capacity, but I'm not. I've talked about this many times. Like, I hate the color red and the fact that it's going to be a double red team Super Bowl. Oh my God, just pain on my eyes. But speaking of which, Detroit Lions, what in God's name did you guys do? Um, First quarter, opening drive, touchdown, 42-yard touchdown from Williams. My God. And I definitely want to throw it in there because I threw this graphic in there for a purpose. I was talking about it before the game where Penei Sewell, former Oregon Duck, was going to be the playmaker of the game. And he sure as hell was in the first half. And no disregard to like what he did in the second half. They were running different plays, etc. Not really opening up the running game like they did for the first half. But who was the guy that was making all those holes for Williams, Gibbs, and Washington? Penei Sewell. Incredible work by him. And I feel really bad that they ended up losing the game because that dude balled his ass off. But yeah, going up 24-7 in the first half, everybody, especially the people in Detroit, and shout out to the Lions for opening up Ford Field for a watch party. Although I imagine as soon as the game ended, when everybody's liquored up, and as Detroit tends to get, there were some fights that probably broke out. But anyway, yes, Jameson Williams balled the hell out. Only had two receptions the entire game, but because that was technically a run play for 42 yards and a touchdown, that was his only run play of the game. So not too bad. But obviously the play of the game that affected it most, outside of Dan Campbell going for it on fourth down in two opportunities where the Lions could have easily kicked a field goal. This was, of course, the most detrimental and heartbreaking because in both of those instances where the Lions decided not to kick a field goal, the Niners drove the field and scored a touchdown. And this was probably the most devastating one of all. Shout out to Brandon Ayuk because of anybody in the receiving core that's not named Deebo Samuel, that's not named George Kittle, even though George Kittle's a time in. I love Brandon Ayuk. Like, that dude is fucking rock solid. Amazing hands, always seems to get open, and relatively good check down receiver. But you go downfield and he'll break off a couple things or two. And I love watching him play. But the absolute insanity of this particular play, because I saw somebody post this on Twitter, and so of course I had to take the photo for this particular segment because the fact that all the tweet said was, believe it or not, Brandon Ayuk caught this ball. And nothing about what's going on in this photo would indicate that, like, oh yeah, Brandon Ayuk is all over this one. No, bounces off the face mask of the Lions defender, and in the same motion of Brandon Ayuk falling to the ground, is somehow able to catch it and get it down the 5-yard line. There was the slight touch as he caught it, was going to the ground. So that's why it was ruled dead at the 5-yard line. And of course, Christian McCaffrey did all the work after that. Boom, touchdown. But Brandon Ayuk did have a touchdown in the end zone in this game. Awesome for him. Flashfire says Ayuk was deep in Shanahan's doghouse when he was new to the league. So it's nice to see him thriving. 100%. Like Jennings is one of the receivers I don't feel like gets enough credit as well. He'll just kind of get those like spot, not just like check down, but he'll get some passes from time to time, make some big plays. But obviously McCaffrey, Deebo, George Kittle are like Shanahan and Brock Purdy's guys. So, oh, that's right. My bad. Ayuk did get the touchdown on this particular drive, which was good because he basically did all the legwork on getting that ball. McCaffrey had the previous one, so my apologies on that one. But yeah, 34-31 final score. Niners going back to the Super Bowl, of course, for the rematch against the Chiefs. I'm hoping for a different outcome this time. Kyle Shanahan, I know, is looking for a different outcome this time, or at least hoping for it. And I think like top to bottom, like the Niners have the better defense between the two teams and potentially the better offense. Granted, Pat Mahomes, from an elite standpoint, is better than Brock Purdy. I can't take the Chiefs winning another Super Bowl. And then, like, once again, this has nothing to do with Taylor Swift and all the mania that's surrounding that. I feel like a lot of people who are just hating on Taylor Swift because the attention she's getting, like, she's not doing it on purpose. Like, at some point, you have to realize, like, it's the media outlets that are doing this. They got a camera on her face the entire time. They're the ones telling the story. All she's doing is sitting up in a luxury box watching her man play football. Like, she's not getting in front of a microphone and, Chiefs, 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 whatever. Like, she's still keeping relatively private about the entire situation. And yet, for whatever reason, she's getting thrown under the bus. But I would say, like, the best thing that she's done inadvertently was give attention to Kyle Juszczyk's wife, who's got, a new contractor deal with the NFL to start making clothes. And a lot of people were criticizing her because the fact that, hey, black women have been doing this for years. Why is this white woman getting this opportunity? Well, Mike Tomlin's wife has been doing the exact same thing since 2021. So, granted, it's just moment in time, moment in place. And, the right person had the right outfit on and brought attention to this person. So that's all it is. Flashfire says, rather see cuts to Taylor Swift than say Jerry Jones. I agree with that. Although the cuts to Jerry Jones when the Cowboys are getting their asses handed to them, that's good TV. Like, you can't deny that. That is great TV. Seeing that man disappointed, because there's only one person to blame in that entire situation, and that's Jerry Jones. Oh my God. So next week I'll give my prediction in for the Super Bowl, because obviously we have a bye week for media week. I also need to crunch the numbers a little bit more, because moving on to my previous picks for Ben's bets, back to back goddamn weeks going 0-4. And these ones are especially frustrating. Like, I felt like the previous week sucked, but this last week, what the fuck, man? Ravens, of course, were my lock of the week over the Chiefs. That was a failure. The Timberwolves over the Hornets. Dude, I don't like, look at that. Minus 1,200. There was a point in time during that game, the Timberwolves had an 18-point lead and they pissed it away. And then there was a bullshit no call of KAT driving to the basket that should have been a foul to send him to the free throw line, and that would have given the T-Wolves the lead back. But no, Hornets end up winning that. The Rangers lost to the Sharks in overtime. What the hell? And then Florida State lost to North Carolina by 8 points. But this is another one of those situations where I put it out in the universe, and of course, North Carolina, like, not only did they win, because I had said, like, they're due for an upset loss, et cetera, et cetera. The very next game North Carolina played was against Georgia Tech. Brand new coach, Damon Stoudemire, who I completely forgot was the coach, because I still thought he was working for or coaching for the University of Pacific out in Stockton. But then I went back and did the research on that, and he actually went back to the NBA for a bit, and now he's the head coach of Georgia Tech. Only brand new to ACC basketball head coach to, one, take down Duke in his rookie season, and also take down North Carolina. Yes, Georgia Tech took down North Carolina in the game after Florida State. So I knew in the universe that North Carolina was going to take an upset loss. I was just a game early. Dude, Tone, you're probably right. Oh, there's Steven Steve, right? Chiming in at the worst possible fucking time. Yeah, dude, I might be bad luck. Like, I don't know. I mean, on top of all my football bets missing, like all my parlays missing by one goddamn leg, I don't know. 2024 might not be my year for gambling. We'll find out in about 3 weeks when I go back to Vegas and actually do it in person again. But right now, I am off to an abysmal start. Oh my god, this is so frustrating. So, anyway, I of course had to make picks for this week. Here's what we got. I decided to go a little bit easier on myself. I got to get some wins under my belt. And it wasn't necessarily for the sake of like, oh, I'm just going to pick, the heavy favorites, whatever. It's just kind of like how things kind of worked out based on scheduling and such like that. I'm going half backwards for this. But anyway, University versus the California Bears. Minus 2,500 favorite over California right here. So Arizona, of course, lost to Oregon State last week and then went to Matthew Knight Arena in Eugene, took down my Ducks. I was very sad to see that. I was debating on actually doing the Oregon USC game as one of my predictions for this week, but when I put it on my picks for last week when Oregon played Colorado to cover the spread, it did not go well, and they actually had back-to-back losses for the first time in the season. So Arizona, I feel like is a safe bet for my lock of the week over Cal. And yes, I'm going to watch this game. And oh my God, with bated breath. Celtics versus the Lakers tonight. Celtics, obviously the heavy favorites. Um, the Celtics just beat my Pacers after the Pacers finally went on a winning streak. But hey, Pacers kept it within 5. I respect that. Nice to see Pascal Siakam finally meshing in with the rest of the team. Tyrese Halliburton should be coming back pretty soon. If not, yeah, actually, yeah. Anyway, so Celtics over the Lakers tonight, minus 1,400. Chelsea versus Wolverhampton this weekend. I feel like the 4-1 loss to Liverpool will hopefully be motivation for Chelsea to just beat the brakes off of Wolverhampton. At least that's what I'm hoping. And then, of course, Sunday, February 4th, Bucks versus the Jazz in Utah. I will be at that game, but I got a feeling the Bucks are going to win that game over the Jazz. So that's it. Those are my predictions right there. If I get one right off this list, I'm in good shape. If I get 2 right, I'm in great shape. 3 and 4, amazing. But yeah, so hopefully some good things happen. Flasher says, hey, I had an 18 leg parlay last week that missed by 1 pick. What was the 1 pick? And Steven, I'm kind of with you. I should have picked any other game other than Chelsea Wolverhampton, but it just seemed like the most likely where Chelsea's probably going to win within the next couple games. So, Flasher says it was 20 legs, but 2 guys didn't play in their game, so those got voided. Okay, got it. Let's see. CJ McCollum didn't get double figures for the first time in a month, and damn, that's rough. Oh, and he was like surefire for that pick too. That's mind blowing. Who is the game against? I'm spacing on it right now. I'm actually surprised I was able to cram all those things that I did, and I still somehow have 5 minutes left in the show. I don't know. Did I miss anything else sports wise this week? I keep feeling like I'm forgetting something important. Oh, the Bucks over the Pels. Yeah, that's right. That is when it happened. It's like I talked about Royal Rumble, talked about NFL head coaches, talked about Formula One, talked about Doc Rivers going 0-2 on the season. I did. Yeah, I started the show with Royal Rumble. I was surprised you weren't here because I went Royal Rumble into Doc Rivers, head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Like that entire 10, 15 minutes was dedicated specifically to you, Steven, and you just come walking in late like a child in a movie theater. Oh man. Yeah, Oregon plays USC tonight. I know that's my bad. I probably should have given you a heads up on that. Well, actually, what's funny was I was even going to talk about Royal Rumble. I just remembered, like, oh shit, that's right. I need to talk about this just because. And I put it together like 20 minutes before we went live. So I mean, it was on the fly, baby. Flasher says I was just picking one player on every team to get a fairly easy alternate point total for fun. See, that's what I kind of look forward to doing. Like once I go back to Vegas, I just because the fact that my entire time there at the end of February, I mean, it's going to be Nothing but hockey, NBA, and college basketball. Maybe a little bit of soccer mixed in too. Um, but I'm going actually specifically to watch the Maple Leafs versus the Golden Knights. We fly in Wednesday, so it's really more of a question mark if I'm going to be doing recap that week because I think our flight leaves at 6, so we'd have to do like recap like really early in the day if I'm going to make the show. Um, yeah, so we'll see what that happens. And then the hockey game is on Thursday. But the last time I went to a Leafs Golden Knights game, um, it was the year that Mike Babcock was their head coach. The final year of Mike Babcock, more specifically, because he got fired the next day, and the whole rest of the trip was insane. And yeah, so my wife and I will be gone the February 21st through the 24th. And we booked this like a couple months ago. Like, I want to say this might have been like November when we booked this. So here's what I'm missing on Saturday, February 24th, because we're coming in later at night. Oakland A's Fan Fest being run by the fans, not by the team in any capacity. So I'm going to miss that. And then that same day, the last time that the Oregon Ducks travel to Berkeley, California to play in a Pac 12 game against each other, both on the same day. Like, I don't know how, of all the time periods that we decided to go to Vegas, like, I am going to miss like all these major things happening within the Bay Area. Uh, so yeah, Flash. I'll be back home like I think like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Obviously, Fan Fest and everything will be over. But if you're in town on Sunday, hit me up. We'll grab a whole meal of food or something. Oh man. Tom Cruise, you're mad you didn't take Pacers over the Knicks tonight? I was debating on adding that to my picks, but as we experienced the previous week, anytime I typically bet on or make picks on my team, they go to shit. So me adding Chelsea versus Wolverhampton to my picks for this week is a bit of a stretch for that. And that was the primary reason. But I had a feeling like, okay, as good as the Pacers are playing now, I feel like now tonight against New York would be a good time to bet on them. But I didn't. So hopefully the Pacers take it down. Elk Dot's not here, but fuck the Knicks. I'm a long time Nick hater. But yeah. Steven says, and you turn around a couple weeks later for college basketball after that. Just dude, okay. So I've been talking to my wife, more so in a jest manner about us moving to Vegas because realistically, I can do my job anywhere. Granted, the few times once or twice a month that I go down to Great Mall to kind of keep eye on things there, I wouldn't be able to do anymore. But as far as like, I'm doing all these events, I'm going here, I'm going there. For the most part, I'm usually sitting in front of a computer at my desk doing recap, Benchwarmers, flip the script, whatever. I can do that anywhere. Um, and then my wife has had like multiple opportunities to work at, I think, like two different hospitals in Las Vegas. So financially, we should do it. And we could probably just get a house easier than we can in the Bay Area. But she wants to stay here. She wants to find a house here, which, interest rates are just murder right now. But we both also realize that we love gambling too much, where we need to stay away from having easy access to gambling. Like, that's the one good thing as far as like the sports betting that I do here in California. Um, I can't do like they don't have like it's not legal to do it via app. I mean, I know there are ways to do it. I'm not going to do it. So oh yeah, no, Liam is getting a house right now is totally a scam. Like, I'm just waiting for either the market to collapse again, which it could. But interest rates are just fucking dog shit right now. So that's why we're not even looking. One of these days we will again. Who knows how soon that'll be? Maybe in a year or two, but whatever. We have a great price on our apartment, so we have no reason to go anywhere at the moment. Um, But yeah, just overall, if I were to move to, or if we were to move to Vegas, like I would probably be at a casino every goddamn day. And that's not good. I can't be doing that. I'd be dead broke. It's already bad enough I'm pissing my money away on basketball jerseys and hats. I mean, Lord knows what would happen if I tried to hit the tables. Wouldn't work out. Anyway. That's it. That's the show for this week. I'll go back and I'll be back home Monday morning. So I'll do another Benchwarmers on Monday to kind of recap the weekend. Oh, Liamina says, did you see my earlier question about the 2001 All-Star patch? I was driving, so I don't know. No, I didn't see that. Oh God, there goes my camera. I will double check that. Oh, Flashfire says, I'll end up in a barrel in what's left of Lake Mead. I'm not going to get deep in with like the sharks or the mob or anything like that. My God. I'm at least somewhat smart about my bets, or as far as like how much money I put down. I usually only put $5 or $10 at a time on any bets that I do. Lima says, I was just curious why it's not used on more Mariners hats. That's all. No, it's not a band patch at all. I think it was just for the sake of details within a lot of Mariner hats. They tend to go more the 30th anniversary, 35th anniversary, 40th anniversary, just because we can cram more colors in there. That's my theory on it, at least. I'm pretty sure there's like some element of truth to that. But I'll ask. I'll ask if we can start doing some more 2001 All-Star Game stuff for you. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Just every now and then we'll bust one out. And it was always kind of funny because I felt like it focused more on like Ichiro kind of stuff than what we did. Anyway. But yeah, I'll see you guys on Monday. Once I'm back from Utah, I'll recap the last couple days, and then obviously, however Ben's picks did this weekend. How's the stock on the Oakland A's? Solid. Yeah, for all the sweethearts, the stock is actually pretty good. So I feel like everybody's going to be able to hit like with relative ease. Lima says, being born in 01 and it being the best season, I want to add more from Hat Club. You were born in 01. I am 18 years older than you. Fuck, man. I've never felt so old than I do in that moment because I vividly remember that season because I was graduating high school up in Vancouver, Washington. And, you know, as an A's fan, it was hard to see because I went up for a couple of games during that season. Coincidentally, it was games the A's actually won. But yeah, just seeing the Mariners win 116 game should have been 117 if they didn't lose that comeback game that the Indians put on display. Shout out to Kenny Lofton. But and they should have won the World Series that year. But unfortunately, because and this is sports conspiracy theory 101 right here. If 9/11 didn't happen, the Mariners would have gone to the World Series. The Yankees just had all the momentum in the world post 9/11 going into the playoffs. I mean, look at what they did to the Oakland A's. The most famous defensive play in Derek Jeter's career happened during that fucking ALDS. The goddamn flip play because Jeremy fucking Giambi couldn't slide at home plate. And the A's were up 2-0 in that fucking series. And then just the ease that they dispatched the Mariners in the ALCS was nuts. So the fact that the Arizona Diamondbacks, you know, in 7 games beat the Yankees, and especially off a Mariano Rivera cutter with Luis Gonzalez, just, you know, little bloop into a shallow outfield. Like you can't script that any better. And that was it. That was the only crack that the Diamondbacks had of beating the Yankees was to get one on Mariano, because Byung-Hyun Kim, if you guys remember, was single-handedly losing that World Series for the Diamondbacks. Great all throughout the regular season, but as soon as they put Kim in against the Yankees, holy fucking shit. Terrible. And, you know, Schilling and big unit, Randy Johnson had to do all the goddamn work on the pitching end. So, but yeah, I mean, that was the Yankees season, the Yankees World Series to lose at that point. But pre 9/11, nah, dude. Mariners 100% should have won the World Series that year. I mean, hell, Mariners Diamondbacks World Series would have been pretty tight as well. No, you didn't really get us out. I mean, we're at the end of the show anyway, so we're just like riffing back and forth. And so, that actually got my train of thought working better. Because I mean, all throughout the show, I was flubbing name. I couldn't remember Pete Carroll. Fuck. But that entire season, like the back of my goddamn hand, I remember all the detail to that. So, um, the other interesting sports conspiracy, see, now I'm flubbing up again. Sports conspiracy theory that I wholeheartedly believe. I'll go on this for a few more minutes because why not? Um, if Hurricane Katrina, A-Lab in the house. We got to post a Discord about you being live on Benchwarmers. I've been looking forward to this all day. It didn't post to Discord? Fuck, I'm ending the show right now. We already did the full hour. I thought it automatically did it, just like it does for recap and stuff like that. And flip the script. God damn. Oh man. Anyway, so I'll leave you guys on this. So sports conspiracy theories that I believe. If Hurricane Katrina never happened, the Seattle Supersonics would still be an NBA team, and Oklahoma City Thunder would not exist, because the whole line and chain of events that occurred with that is, the Hornets were playing in New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina happens. They need a new location to play games at, so they go to Oklahoma City. David Stern likes the turnout for all the games and always hated the Pacific Northwest. That's why we don't have the Vancouver Grizzlies anymore. That's why they moved to Memphis, because he wanted to get out of the Pacific Northwest as fast as possible, which is still bizarre because the Vancouver Grizzlies only existed for 6 years. So how do you get rid of the Seattle Supersonics? Well, you have a terrible owner in Paul Schultz, former CEO of Starbucks. And, he basically bleeds the team dry, doesn't want to put up any money for a new stadium, especially as Key Arena is just becoming more and more dilapidated, which is also funny considering the fact of how much they refurbished it. Seattle Storm kept playing there, won a couple championships, and now the Seattle Kraken, NHL, are playing in that arena, completely refurbished. Like, it's a great place to go watch a game. I've went to one Sonics game ever in my life. Fucking love that stadium. But what it came down to is because of the Hornets going to Oklahoma City, playing games there, David Stern having dollar signs in his eyes, seeing the entire situation, and then finally the entire situation. Sorry, I said Paul Schultz. I meant Howard Schultz, CEO of Starbucks. The entire situation of that, and then helps orchestrate a deal with a couple of businessmen from Oklahoma City who vow, hey, we're not going to move the team. We're going to keep the team here, blah, blah, blah. Team sells, and then sure enough, oh hey, we were just fucking with you guys. We're moving the team to Oklahoma City, and that's how it happened. But the little domino to big domino, or big domino little domino, whichever way it goes, Hurricane Katrina happened first, and that started the entire chain of events for Seattle Sonics getting sold, moving to Oklahoma City, becoming the Thunder. And just the worst part of it is the fact that the last first round draft pick that the Seattle Supersonics had, of course, was Russell Westbrook. Like, got drafted by the Sonics, and then before the season began, whoop, Oklahoma City. So, Liam Menas, yes. When we did the pop-up event in Seattle, I kept telling everybody, so 3 years from that time, so what was this? All-Star break, so July of last year. So 2023, so 2026, 2027. Yeah. I'm a year ahead is when expansion's going to happen again, because we're going to have to restructure the new NBA deal or NBA TV deal. Whatever expansion teams come in, which will be Las Vegas and Seattle, to which case then if you're going geographically, you're going to move the Memphis Grizzlies to the Eastern Conference, and then you have full parity between both conferences, 16-16. And then Seattle and Vegas are going to get a shorter end of the stick on the TV deal because they're brand new teams. But that's when it's going to happen. So mark my words. Like there are obviously some crazy ass predictions that I make within sports, but this one is one that will fucking happen. And yeah, can't wait. I got plenty of Sonics jerseys to rock once the team is back. Yes, 100% Root Sports will screw you again. As they always do, man. As they always do. Look what they did with the Blazers. You can't even watch the Blazers on a local broadcast. You have to get like fucking Fubo and shit, man. It's crazy. What a disaster. Oh my god. And it blows because I had a lot of good friends that work for Root Sports. And yeah, they all got screwed out of their jobs, and then just as badly as Root Sports is screwing the entire sports fan market in the Pacific Northwest. Tone Cruz says, I just went 0 for 4 twice. Yeah, I did. So what? I'm gonna bounce back. I'm gonna bounce back tonight because Celtics over the Lakers, University of Arizona over the Cal Bears. Some people call that 0-8. Steven. Okay, so if you guys didn't know this, and if you guys want to know a time to go to Vegas, Leonida says Benny bounce back. I love that. If you guys want a time period to come to Vegas, March 13th through March 18th, it is the final Pac-12 men's tournament that will ever be. We're going for that. But then more importantly, you got St. Patrick's Day on the 17th, so the Sunday. Rootin' tootin' good time there. But yeah, come hang out with us. It's gonna be fun. If you can make it, March 13th through March 18th, Las Vegas. I think we're staying at the MGM Grand, wherever I had comps for. But yeah, it's important to me as a diehard Pac-12 fan aficionado. Dude, nothing does say Irish like Las Vegas. But it sucks because Flanagan's like closed down years ago. That was like the spot to go to for St. Patrick's Day. Although I'm still happy that this last year for St. Patrick's Day, hung out with David Kearns and we hit McSorley's and all the other good Irish spots in New York City. So it was good to be like in an actual Irish city for St. Patrick's Day for once. So granted, I was supposed to do Chicago back in 2020 for St. Patty's and fucking COVID. So Steven says now he needs a leprechaun outfit. Awesome. I'll make it to Chicago and Boston for St. Patty's at some point. I'm not saying I don't want to be there. Like I said, I was supposed to be there in 2020 for Chicago. But, you know, disease broke out, famine broke out. Alibo says, I do my best. I was going in October, but that's even better. Hey, I mean, yeah, if anybody's able to, let's do it, man. It'll be fun. I promise you. Say if you're of legal drinking age and legal gambling age, Vegas, baby. Vegas. March 13th through March 18th. Of course, as we get closer to the date, I'll keep, planning your guys' heads. Plus, I mean, come on, Southwest Airlines always got amazing deals and stuff. Do it on the cheap. Flashfire doesn't drink. That's okay. You can drink water. Just gotta stay hydrated. I mean, I'll be dead honest. I can't believe I'm just going on talking about this nonsense. Like, the only time I typically drink in Vegas is if I'm gambling because it's free. It's free if you're gambling. I mean, granted, I'm losing money in the process of trying to acquire alcohol. But it's not like, going down the street, I'm just going to pop in a store and just, buy a 6-pack or anything like that. Like, that's just kind of dumb. Occasionally I'll go to a cocktail bar because my wife likes, fancy cocktails, etc. So we'll do that. Meet a steak dinner. Yeah, I'll do that. But typically, dude, yeah, when I'm in a casino and I'm living the high roller life like that, Anytime somebody's giving me like, "Oh, hey, do you want a drink?" Yes. Yes, I do. Put it in my hand now. Because this most recent trip was probably like the most insane. I was shithouse hammered, but didn't quite realize it because I was actually keeping a pretty even keel. Um, I think I told you guys the story because I was playing at a table and I had like 11 whiskey and cokes, and it was all Crown Royal as it turns out after the fact because the waitress like was super cool like that. I mean, I tipped her for every drink, and then I gave her like an additional 20 after when she told me that. It's just like, oh yeah, this is for you. Um, and that was like middle of the day. Um, and then went to another casino, and just kept the drinking going. I didn't win a lot of money that day, but I drank a lot of booze that day. So Liam has asked, are we going to every day of the tournament? Yes. So it doesn't matter who's in it every day. Like we're hitting every single game. Um and every single day. So it's gonna be good. Um Steven says I'll be on that Buffalo Gatorade for hydration. Yes. Oh my god. I can't wait to do this trip. And David Kearns, if you're still in here, hopefully you're able to come, dude. The invitation is open, brother. Um anyway, that's probably good before I say something that's gonna get me in trouble with the big wigs or corporate. I don't know. Yeah, Austin, are you coming too? I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's gonna do recap that day. We'll just make Tefuri do it by himself. That would be so sad. To just be like all of a sudden, like, oh hey, by the way, Tef, we're cutting to Vegas. You got to do the show all by yourself. Oh man. I haven't checked the price on the Game Pass yet. I know it's not going to be like cheap. Um, no, I was planning on it. Like I wasn't planning on using that Wednesday as a day off because like I get in, I think my flight's like 8 o'clock in the morning on that Wednesday. I was planning on just bringing all the equipment and setting up in the hotel room so we can do recap that day. Um, but because the tournament starts that day, I don't know how that's going to affect everything. So I'll still have to plot that out because they don't have the schedule yet. Like you don't know which teams are playing yet because it all depends on the seeding of how the rest of the season goes. And then obviously whoever wins like the regular season championship at the end before the tournament gets an automatic bid and they get a different spot and blah blah blah. Um, but dude, that would be electric if we're able to pull something like that off. I mean, we got what? We got a month and a half to figure this out. Month and a half and a couple extra days to figure this out. Yes, Liam is shoot me a DM. You've never been to Vegas? Ooh, that's dangerous times right there, my friend. Oh, Alab saying dropping too much coin on nerd shit the weekend before going to a con in DC. That sounds right up your alley, though. I mean, this is all I have in my life. I have sports, I've got Hack Club, and I've got gambling. More specifically, Las Vegas gambling. Like I don't particularly like to go to like where other casinos are. Like, yes, my wife and I went to Grattan Casino up in like Santa Rosa, Petaluma area like a couple weeks ago. I actually won money there. This is the biggest surprise of any bit of that trip. But it's like I don't have any inkling to go back just because I'd rather keep all my gambling contained. This goes back to wait, Anakin Skywalker meet and greet? My cousin Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker. I'm gonna let that one simmer for a bit. Um but yeah, if I keep all my gambling contained within Las Vegas, and that's why going back to when somebody asked when are you gonna move there, that's why another reason why we're not doing it, just because I would just gamble every single day. He's not actually my cousin. We just happen to share the same last name. So yeah. Oh, and Rosario Dawson. I mean, Rosario Dawson just by herself, That's a winning solution right there. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. And Rosario Dawson. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm going to cut this out. Guys, always a pleasure to talk. Sorry I fumbled my way. I couldn't remember Pete Carroll's name earlier. It's been a weird day. It's been a very weird day. And I'll be back on Monday for the on-time version of Benchwarmers. Because of course, next Thursday is going to be Flip the Script Day for Austin and me, because we're busy all day Tuesday, or he's busy all day Tuesday doing something at night. So we'll be doing Flip the Script on Tuesday, and then of course or Thursday. Thursday we'll be doing Flip the Script next week. Recap still on Wednesday as always. And as always, take it easy, and if you don't, take it sleazy. Oh yeah, that's right, because you'll be in Arizona. Duh. That makes better sense. But yeah, the Vegas trip, we'll discuss more in the future. And guys, take care. Peace.